Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher. We're on our way to almost wrapping up the chickadee. We had painted the cap and the bib with black paint, and that could be any black. Like I said, we used Payne's gray for almost all of the wings and the mantle and the tail. We painted that, and we also did the underneath side once to get that gray color in there. Then we came back and we put a coat in over top of the mantle of Payne's gray. I'm sorry, not Payne's gray, burnt umber, and it was watered down, so that does not come on strong. And these are all washes too. About the heaviest we've used is the black, and we also painted in the cheek area here, right here. I made this white, then as we drifted back towards the edge of the cheek here, I watered it down just a little bit so it goes from white to an off-white. So what we're going to proceed on, and I'm going to show you that, I'm going to use a fine brush. This one here, I don't believe it's a sable, but you can get a lot of synthetic ones that really come into a point. This really holds its point well, and I'm going to use this to do a lot of the painting. And what we're going to do is we're going to edge all the feathering. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you a sample. Here's one I had done before, and all this white on the edge we're going to highlight, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so bear with me and I'll show you in a second. Okay, we're back again. I have a couple trays here. Remember I was saying to you, to preserve your paints, you can use saran wrap over that, put a drop of water or two into the paints, and then cover it over, and that will make it, it'll preserve it for the next day. So you don't always have to throw your paints away. Some of mine have dried out here because I've had it for several days, and it doesn't hold up completely, but it does, you can save on paints by not having the redo it every time. But for those who want it fresh, you just take it right out of the tube. I have titanium white here, which is, I used the Liquitex, and this is titanium white, and this is on the heavy side. So if I go in here and I mix this, this is what I call like creamy. What I did is I put maybe a BB size of white and a little bit of water, not that much, and I stirred it real good. Okay, and this is actually a leftover from what I had done the other day. And what I want to do is just take and run a little bit off the tip so it doesn't run. I'm going to get my piece here, and I'm going to start with, and I'm going to get this up closer so I hope you can see this. I have this grouping of feathers that came down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along the edge, outside edge, and you gotta have it, you gotta be steady. Okay, and you hit the outside edge, and not all of it, but for what's showy here anyway, like so. And if it doesn't go everywhere you want it, I also have some Payne's gray down here that we could, touch up if we have to. So don't feel as though if you make a mistake, you can't cover it up. You can go back and paint over this. So I'm going to come in here and you can see how little I'm putting in. And this brush is a number 3, and it really holds its point and really does a nice job. And that's what I would recommend, a real good pointed brush, that really holds its shape. And not a cheap one, because you can't really, and I don't mean you have to spend a lot of money. I have brushes that I sell that are savable, and they're not that expensive. And if you're ever interested in any of that, I have it available for you. So you can contact me. Then we have a small little grouping down below here. So I hit that. And these, I'm basically doing the outside edges. And they're not real bright yet. Some of it will enhance more. But I wanted to show you exactly how I do this. And then I'll go and charge my brush up again. Take most of the paint off before I go, because I don't want it running. I'm going to see if this is not running it on the towel. Maybe it comes out a little heavier, and that may be okay too. I'm going to do this side first, which was the underneath side. So remember this, I'm just going to touch it and come around. Yeah, it's a little brighter. So I'm going to do that one. And what I'm doing is coming down. Like so. Let me charge that up again. And then we'll do the next one. And what I'm doing is just taking a very light approach to hitting that edge, okay? It's not coming on like gangbusters, and that's what you want to do. You want to keep it in control. Now, I would like to get the white a little more brighter than this, but we'll come back and do this again. So let me charge this up, and you try to get the excess off there, so you're not coming in with a lot of water or paint or anything. You're trying to keep it thin. This really came out really thin here, so I don't know if I just didn't mix it good enough before you may want to stir the paint each time. There you go. That's where I'd like to be. But all the paint will go and get lost. And what I mean by that is it ghosts out. And you can see how that first coat faded out. So don't worry about that. I'm going to do a few here. Let that area dry, which it will. Let me turn, I think I missed a spot up here. Then I'll get some more. And I'm trying to do this in a fashion that you're not coming on so strong, okay? For those who mix the white and have a real strong color, you can see how that white just came on a lot brighter. Now, this white jumped off and under. I'm going to rinse my brush out, take all the moisture out, and then come down below here and just pick up that white. So you can, if you make a mistake, you can get that out of there. Now let that dry, because the paint is wet in that area there. Another way you can do it to dry it real fast to correct your mistake is to get a tissue and just press it on there. It's going to take some of the paint away, but you can do an instant fix just by coming back, and I'll touch that last feather in that grouping right there. Okay. Now, you can see everything we did up front here really faded away. So I'm going to come back, before I do more of these, I'm going to come into here and I'm going to hit these again. This will be a second coat on here. Now for some of you that may have mixed the white real strong, and you get to this effect real fast and you get it a lot brighter, that's great. Then you don't have to do this second time around. And if I need it a third time around, I'll do that too, you know, until I get it to the density of the white I want. But I don't want to come on like I'm just throwing paint right out of the tube onto the bird. I just don't. And in some cases where we're edging, woo, there's a blowout right there. So I'll just come in, touch it, see, and it gets it right up, absorbs it. So I'll just come back, make sure I just have the tip. And you got to steady yourself. Now I'm holding this up in the air so that it's close to the camera, hopefully, that you can see all this. But the thing is, fortunately, I have a steady hand. For those that don't, I would say rest it on the table or on something so that you have more control. Okay, so that's getting more like it, but it could dry a little later. So I'm going to come back over these here that we just did, and they should be dry by now because we're not actually having a lot of moisture in there, and it should dry out fairly fast. Let's see. Here we go. Just hit this. Hope I'm in the camera range here. I'm sorry if I drift it. And I'm going to come in here. And I'm just trying to hit the edges. You almost had to get the feel that the brush is just touching. You know, and once sometimes oops, I went too deep. So you gotta notice I got my finger on here trying to balance the pressure of the brush that I come down onto the bird here so that I can get a nice steady hand in applying the paint. And you can even see on the front end here, that's still not bright enough. I hate to say it, but this is me. I tend to maybe water my paints down too much, but I don't want to fight a white, area. I'm trying to keep the white subdued, and at the same time, as I run it across, you're seeing like the splits still showing up. So it still gives you that feathery look. Now, I'm going to do some more back here this time and let this group dry, and then I'm going to come back and do this one more time, which you're going to think is kind of crazy. So here we go. I'm going to get this one. This will be the first time on these. These come down here. And I'm not a drinker per se, but sometimes when you're doing this edging, you feel as though you may need a drink or something like that. Not that I'm trying to inspire drinkers. Trust me, I'm not. But I have the steady yourself. It gets tricky. And like I said, I'm holding this up so that you can see it. But normally I would get myself into a very relaxed pose. Notice I'm always trying to take paint off the brush, on the edge of the cup when I'm applying so that I don't come on like gangbusters. But you're going to have to come up with a style that you know how you can handle the white. And if it gets messy or you get too much white in an area that you didn't want it, see, I'm doing a great finger painting job here rather than on the bird. But if you get more white in one area that you didn't want it on, you can always get the Payne's gray and go back over it and just paint it Payne's gray again. That's the beauty part about it is, and that's watered down, this Payne's gray I have here, so it's not like you made a mess. The one nice thing about acrylics is if you really didn't like how the paint job came out, you could actually paint over it again, as long as you don't keep the paints. If you keep the paints to a wash type, and you can wash right over these and start over again. You know what I mean? So don't feel like you're locked in. I've actually when I was in competition, like at the Ward Foundation show, I did a bird one time, painted it. Didn't look good to me, so I went and took all the paint off in the wing area. This was, I didn't go rip the whole bird. And when I went back, I got a real neat look because just the way it came out. And I think I took a second in the advanced class, and to me that was because of the effect I got, but it was only by accident. Trust me. I've had some success there, but that's not always the case. Now, in this case here, I'm coming back for the third time, but I'm going to try to keep it real close to the edge, really close, like inside, almost like you got it from white going into a gray. So I'm going to come back on this, and I'm pretty sure most of this is dry because we're not loading this up so much with paint. And by the time I've done those few, this is the brightness that I'm trying to get. And sometime the third coat does it. Or at least we hope. So now that brightness that you're starting to see now is what I'd like it to be. I just hope it stays that way and doesn't fade. Okay. There. So you can see the contrast of what I've done so far. So I'm going to go back in. And I'm going to do this a second time. And turn that around. And each time it builds up the white, and it looks like a gray, but like on the third coat, it looks like it's going from white into a gray, and that's what we're trying to do. But if you just get it white, I'm happy if you get that too. But if you're doing competitive pieces where you're trying to really get it neat, that blending of different grays to white it makes it enhances the look of the bird. And that's things you gotta practice, you know, and not everybody comes out painting like a champ, you know what I mean? I always feel as though every time I paint a bird, for the most part, it's like an experiment. You always get a different effect sometime, even though you're doing the same thing over and over. I had one of my students, in fact, one guy that I'm still coaching, he loves cardinals. So he gets into it, and I'm trying to get him to try to mix the paints the same way, but sometimes they come out a little different. And I said that's the way it is in nature too, you know. Not every bird is exactly the same, you know, and it's just like us humans, you know, we're all a little different, and we come out different. And so we're starting to come up, and you can see it's white now that you can distinguish, but it's not a strong white, not like up here, you know what I mean? It's not that way. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to do this one side, and I'll do a little bit of the tail, and then I'm going to let you do this side. It's the exact same thing that I'm doing on this side. I'm going to go over here again. Now, come in. And like I said, you got to steady yourself. And for those, you know, I'm not a young chicken anymore. And fortunately, I still have a steady hand. But like with arthritis and everything else, even I had some students that had some problems with it. At least with the power carving, you can hang in there more. It really gets detrimental to some carvers who use knives because it's a strain on your hands, you know, and for some odd reason, I guess it activates the stiffness in the hand and the arthritis to the point that it becomes a problem. But then I've also had students with the carpal tunnel situations and stuff like that, you know. So as we get older, we always have ailments of somewhere. But I feel very fortunate that I have a steadiness. I do a lot of watercolors and love detail, just like I do with the birds here. And I'm fortunate enough to have control of what I want to do. My watercolors are so tight, it's ridiculous. Watercolors has a beauty all of its own with the looseness and the transparency and stuff like that. The only trouble is my nature to do that isn't that good. I tend to, just like I do with the birds and everything else, I paint the same way. So now we're going to go on to the tail. I'm going to do half the tail so you can see how we do this here too. I'm going to come in here and let me just look at my tail. I'm going to come all the way down in here. Hope you can see this well. Write that right on down. Then I'm going to hit this one. And I'm sort of like dragging it across the edge. And that, the paint sort of drops into those voids that we create by burning. And let me just come back in here. Getting a little messy in there, but I think that will work anyway. And I'm coming down. And you can see some of the, it breaks it up that way. As you drag it across, and if you hit it right, not everything goes down in, and you're hitting across the top, and it gives you that feathery edged look. And that's what we're trying to get to. So, but it all depends on how steady you are. But hey, listen, practice makes perfect. And I can't always say I get everything perfect, but I try. I'm going to come back on this. Boy, these are first time coats, so you know I'm going to be back and doing this again. So you can see this, it just ghosts away real fast. Then I'll get this outside edge right on up and around. Now I'm going to rinse my brush real quick, and I washed the paint out. I think I got too much white all over the place, so I'm going to come up and pick it up just like that. I'll have a wet brush, get most of the paint off of it, and then come back and it picks up the paint, and you're ready to go again. Okay, now you don't want to go back and put the white right back in there where you may have ballooned, so you want to just dry that area off just like that. Then come in, charge your brush up again, and we'll hit the outside edge here. So I'll hit that. Gotta get some paint in there. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to hit the center one here. So, this one right in here. These are really in tight. So, and I'm going to hit this one. A little bit more. A little bit more. And we got one really in tight here. It's this one right here. And then we got the top one. And that comes right on around. So there's what you're trying to go after. You can see how white I got these. These are a little off, so I would give this one more coat, and this definitely going to need one more coat. But that's the idea. You're doing each grouping here. You got this grouping of 4 or 5 that come down. You got 3 down here. You got this grouping from here coming back. And remember, these are on top, so these come around. You get the white all the way around. If I do one of these on this side, let me show you that. Because the left side of this, I should say the right side of this bird, you're edging this feather, hope you can see this way, and it comes all the way around, and you're able to see this side too. So where these stop here, because these are going under on this side, these are laying on top of these. So you're seeing this one coming around like so. And then you can pull that straight back. Ooh, I go off the track. See, so I gotta just pick that up real quick before it settles in, and then I'll come back in and try to be more careful. There you go. These are really fading. I should be stirring this paint up like this. You'll see it will come up stronger on the next one I do, which is this one here. Because you got to stir your paint up a little bit. The water tends to water it down more. So if you blend it together, it'll flow better on you. And I'm trying to give you the tricks of the trade as far as what makes it flow better. And water can be your enemy too if you have too much of it, definitely with this style. And you don't want it too thick, you want it sort of creamy. Okay, so that's what I want you to do on both sides, okay? And you want it to this brightness, okay? Not that brightness there, okay? And do it to both sides of the chickadee, and I'll see you on the next video, and we'll do the breast area, and then we're going to be getting the feet on, and we're going to be mounting it very soon here. So we're getting close to where we should be on this. So I hope you enjoyed and learned something from it. And if you could give me a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that as well. And like I said, if you have any friends that are interested as well, if you can pass my information on to my channel, that'd be great. And if you ever need any of the products I use, the brushes, I don't really sell the paints, but if you're really pressed where you can't get what you need, contact me. I'll see if I can't do it for you. And I do have some inexpensive brushes that could help you along here for what we use. So, and I have paint trays as well too and stuff like that. So, and even on the carving end of it, if there's bits or the micro, what's the name, grinders, stuff like that, micro motor ones, I handle them as well. So see you on the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot. Bye now.